Welcome everyone. Here we are on Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, which is Divinity and Divine Service. And we're beginning the first 3 or 4 of the 14 stages of Bhakti, also divided in another division is a 9 steps of Bhakti from Shraddha to Prema. And this is going to be covering, this verse is going to be covering the first 3. So welcome everyone. Let's see if we can share it somewhere too. So everyone can share how you're doing. Any reflections on your study of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam?
Haribo, I am well today. One thing that came to my mind yesterday was I was listening to like different lectures and I realized like these things that all these people are sharing are their realizations. So some people, you know, they like to, I guess, teach a little bit more on different things. So there's one guru that, you know, talks about the relationships between Krishna and the soul, and then other people are like, well, this is what happens, and so on and so forth, you know. So like people talk about different things, but it's really cool to see like how much people reflect and know.
Nice. So here, let me just pull up the verse. So I'll just chant a little invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And as an invocation, let's just chant the verses that we've covered so far. Vyasuvacha iti samprashna samhrishto vipranam ramaharshanai pratipujasvataschejam pravaktum upachakrame yam pravajantam anupetam apeta kritya. Oh, the Sutta Uvacha. I just have to say that right before the verse, because this is Sutta Goswami, and he is glorifying Shukadev Goswami. Yam pravajantam anupetam apeta kritya dvaipayano viharakatara ajuhava utreti tanmayataya taravo vinedustam sarvabhuta hidayam munim anatosmi yasvanubhavam akilam shritasaramekam adyatmadipam atitirtishatam tamandam samsarinam karanayaha purana guhyam tam yasasunam upayami guru muninam Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devam saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiyat munaya saduprishtoham bhavadvir lokamangalam yatkita krishna samprashno yenatma suprasidati savaipum samparo dharmo yato bhakti dhokshaje ahaituki apratihata yatma suprasidati. Does anybody here remember those 2 words? What do those 2 words mean? Ahaituki apratihata. Anybody remember those 2?
Is it unattached? Is that one?
Yeah, it's pretty, unmotivated.
Unmotivated, okay.
And uninterrupted. And haitu has this word cause. Okay, hetu, what is the cause? So without a cause. Now, this verse that we're going to be covering is actually going to be touching on something that's in this verse. Now, usually we say that bhakti is how we're reading, how we're understanding that verse, is that bhakti is not something that arises from some kind of material cause or a desire for liberation. And here we got to welcome our good old friend, Guranga Nishta is here.
Hello,
Chilean.
Hari.
From Chile?
Yes, I
Yes,
am.
yes. Welcome. Bienvenidos.
Thank you.
So, so usually we see this word ahaituki apratihata means unmotivated, uninterrupted. Means if you really want to access bhakti, then if you really want to practice bhakti, you have to approach Krishna without a type of motivation. Now, here in this verse that we're going to cover, it's actually going to say that bhakti itself is something that arises without a cause. Like it's not something that comes because, like, okay, I've done a lot of good things, and therefore I deserve bhakti. There's this big there's a book called Madhurya Kadambini, and the question comes up: well, how does it start? How do you get bhakti in the first place? Where does it come from? And because they have this word a lot, you'll find in the verses, it's called yadrichaya, which usually it means like somehow or other, some good fortune. And so what does that exactly mean? That's what's discussed in this Madhurya Kadambini. And so one thing we'll learn is that bhakti is like Krishna. You can't make Krishna do anything. Krishna is independent. How many of you know the story of the lifting of Govardhan Hill? Sure, you all know this story.
Yeah.
Now, Krishna, he angered Indra because he presented what is called karma mimamsa philosophy. Karma mimamsa philosophy is a type of atheistic philosophy that states that if you simply perform the right rituals, if you do the right rituals, the right dharmic activities, then the gods are forced. They are just instruments in the ritual itself. They are forced to give you what you desire, which may be possibly in the case of the devatas, but Krishna is independent. You can't force him to appear to you. You can't force a realization. It comes by his own will. So it's causeless. It's not something that is caused by, something good that you've done or something bad you've done. But then where does it all come from? That's really confusing. Now I'll continue the recitation of the verses. We're on verse 6. Ahaituki patihata yayatma suprasidati Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojitaha Janati Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayadu Haitaka Dharmashvanushtita Pumsa Vikshpakshena Katasuyat Notpadiyat Yadiratim Shamayeva Hikevalam Dharmasya Hyapavargyasya Narto Artaya Kalpate Nartasya Dharmakantasya Kamolabai Hismitaha Kamasya Nindriya Pritir Labo Jiviti Yavata Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa Tattva Jigyasa Tattva Natash no, there's something else. It is something Nakarma Bihi, something Nakarma Bihi. Let me pull it up. That is verse 10. Verse 10. Narto yasche karma bihi vadanti tattvavidas tattvadyaj jnanam advayam prameti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabjate tatshadana mulanayo ganavaya gyuktaya pashanti atmani chatmanam bhaktashuta grihitaya athapum virgvija sheshta varnashrami vivagashah sunishtitasya dharmasya samsidir hariposhanam tasmad ekena manasa bhagavan sattvatam patihi shrottavya kitita vyascha jeyascha pujascha nityada. And Yad anujasina. This jhana, this meditation upon Krishna is like a sword. Karma granti nibandhanam, that cuts the karmic bonds that we are all facing, that are holding us back in so many ways. Chindanti, cutting. Kovidas tasya, the intelligent person uses the sword, this meditation upon Krishna. Kona kuryat kataratim. And now we're on Shushosha Shadadanasya Vasudeve. Vasudeva. Is it Vasudeve? Vasudeva. Vasudeve. Vasudeva. Shushosha Shadadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syanmat Seva Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat Om Jnanatimarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmuritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Ita Kashchana Smite Yasmin Dushkaram Sukaram Bhavet Vismite Viparitam Shatshite Chaitanya Tamamitam. Okay, so in reference to this verse, I'll pull it up on the screen. In reference to this verse, you have, it says, Shushusha Shadadana, Shusho Shadadanasya Vasudeva Kata Ruchi. Who knows what this word ruchi means?
Like one is mine.
Ruchi, oh, that's rishi. Ruchi is taste. This a taste for the Vasudeva Kata, Krishna Kata. Spiritual talks about the Supreme Being. Syanmat Sevaya Vipra. And this taste actually comes, it develops, it cultivates, it builds when one is engaged in service of great souls. Mahat Seva, Mahatma, Mat Sevaya Vipra. Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. So Tirtha, Atitirthatam. We've read that previous verse, Atitirthatam Tamandam. So Tirtha is like I think we call it a ford. It's a place where the land, like it's on the water, where the land is so high that you can literally look like you're walking across the water, because it's, it's like where it's like you say you have a spot in a lake or a river where the bed of the lake or something is really high up, so you can cross beyond. So Tirtha means that person or place that is very punya, very pious, very pure, and therefore helps you to cross beyond this whole material existence. And when you're nishevana, engaged in service of great souls, that's what helps develop this attraction to Krishna, or to God, and that attraction to hearing, attraction to worshiping, attraction to puja, all these different things. Let me see if I can pull up Madhurya Kadambini. We can look at some of these. Ranganishta, tell me what's going on. How's the baby? How's the little baby?
I was talking. I was mute. He's doing great, actually. We check. Short story. We did, because of the condition he has. Well, that no longer has. We consulted with an astrologist, and he was like, "But we don't see anything in his chart that will be harmful or like detrimental for his health or anything like that." And we're like, are you sure? Because, I argued with the doctor many times, the 2 times we were there, it was not pleasant, so to speak. And it ended up that he doesn't have this West syndrome, because they check his genetics with a blood test, and he has no genes that could relate with the West syndrome. So the astrologist was right and the doctor was wrong. This is so confusing for me, because the guy was like, so his conviction, the astrologist, his conviction was like so like strong. He was like, I can't see in his chart anything. Like, no matter where I look or how I approach the chart, I don't see anything that will be harmful for him in his life. And we were like, we got this diagnosis. And he was like, nevertheless, I can't see it. So then we talked with him and we mentioned this, and he said that we should check it out again. Because, see it again, the chart and all that, to see what we can do. Because he recommended him for him to have a healthy life, he has to live in a farm far from the city. That's what he recommended. He's doing well. Say again.
I'm very happy that he's doing well. You have our prayers and
yes, and then we talked with a sadhu from India. He was touring in Colombia here, just like 2-3 weeks ago, and it was good. And he told us something that it was very fulfilling. He said that Bhakti cures everything, no matter how bad it may be. If Krishna wants him to be healthy, he will be, no matter what, because Bhakti, he cures everything. And we were like so surprised about this. It's just a bliss. We met a couple of disciples from Srila Prabhupada here, and they were so nice.
Chile.
No, here in Colombia.
Oh, in Colombia.
Yes, I'm at the moment.
All right. And welcome Vishwato Mukha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you. We're starting the famous Sushusho Shadadanasya verse, which is this is where the 9 steps of bhakti, also the 14 steps given by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. And so here I have open this is the Madhurya Kadambini. This is translated by Dinabandhu Prabhu, or written by Dinabandhu Prabhu. And so, as we mentioned, a Haituki Pratihata, devotional service, is transcendental to the transcendental Lord, is causeless and uninterrupted. And so here the word Haituki means bhakti has no hetu, no cause. And so you have this word a lot. Yajitraya mad katado. Mad bhaktim yadrichaya. Yadrichayo pavita yo pavichita. So this word yajitraya means by its own independent sweet will. Now, sometimes we say the word is good fortune. Now, what is this good fortune? There's Bhoga Mukhi Unmukti Mukhi Sukriti. There is Moksha Unmukhi Sukriti. And then there's Bhakti Unmukhi Sukriti. These are different words for good fortune. Sukriti means when you knowingly or unknowingly do something that really benefits you. Like Dana Kay, in her past life, there was a book distributor or something, and she opened the door for the book distributor, or she did something. So this is the idea that doing something unknowingly, and it's actually somehow related in the service of Krishna. So the question is about, to clarify, do materially pious activities, Shubha karma, cause good fortune? Or is it independent? And so if you say that if you do a lot of good things, if you feed enough people in this world, you do a lot of good things, then you were guaranteed to get bhakti. That means bhakti becomes dependent on materially good things. And here the verse is actually saying that bhakti is actually independent. It is like Krishna. It has independence. Let me see, I can even make it a little bigger, if that helps. Is that better? Okay, we're on the wrong page.
Yeah.
So now what if you say, well, bhakti just comes from Krishna's mercy? Okay, so if you say bhakti comes from good things, you do a lot of good things, then that you're saying that bhakti comes from material things, and that doesn't make sense. If you say it just comes, it's unknown, then that's also not a good answer. Doesn't clarify anything. If you say it comes from Krishna's mercy, then what's the problem with that? You just get bhakti by Krishna's mercy.
Then you have no hand in it if it just kind of falls on you.
Yeah, you have no hand on it. It just falls on you. And then why doesn't it fall on somebody else? What about the other person? So here, if mercy is causeless, however, one should observe the Lord. So if it's causeless, again, without a cause, then shouldn't everybody automatically get it? It would go everywhere. So so since it's not seen, it would seem like, okay, then God is partial. He gives devotion to some people and not others. So this is not considered an answer, not an acceptable answer. So what somebody might say, well, Krishna is partial to, he punishes those who behave in a demonic way. He protects the devotees. Isn't that partiality? And so this is described as not a dushanam, but a bhushanam. It's not a fault, it's an ornament that enhances his nature. He's affectionate to the devotees. But of course, those are those who already have devotion. If Krishna is yeyatamam prapadyante, you respond to Krishna and he responds back. Like if somebody wants to fight Krishna, then Krishna fights them. He responds back. Somebody wants to love Krishna, and Krishna loves them. He just responds back accordingly. Someone wants to say there is no Krishna, and he responds back by not revealing any hint of God in that person's existence. He, in fact, helps that person even forget. Okay, so then one say, it's a cause of the devotion of another person. And that the Madhyamadikari, the middle devotee, he is, his natural trait is his prema maichi kripo peksha. He has prema for God, maitri, friendship with the devotees, those who are spiritual practitioners. He has kripa, he has mercy for those who are have kind of an innocent nature, that have that are suitable, that are willing to investigate. And he's upeksha. He kind of avoids, disregards those who are antagonistic. So these are the four kinds of relationships. He's has love towards God, friendship with the devotees. He helps the innocent, and those who are heavily against God, he just leaves them alone. And so, because that devotee already has bhakti, then he actually incites bhakti in others. So it's gonna, there's a whole kind of argument that's given, but that's kind of the basic understanding, is that it's coming by the hearts of great sadhus, this devotion. Right, Ganganishta, I think got kicked out. Let him back in. So Shushushadadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi. Let me pull up another book so we can look at. What is this other one we're looking at? The other book is called Bhagavat Subodhini. Oh, this is getting slow. Bhagavat Subodhini. Okay, here we go. This is a Śrīmad Bhāgavatam study guide. There's a few different study guides out there. You can also get Gaurijan Prabhu's study guide. That's a nice book as well. Okay, so let's go through a few pages. You can see now.
Whose study guide is this?
This is written by Gauranga Darshan Prabhu. Gauranga Darshan. He has a lot of books, Pretty sure he's one of those super brilliant brahmacharis in Pune or one of the big temples in India. A lot of different, possibly a disciple of Ravnath Swami. So this is, we're going on these verses, 16 to 22. Bhakti progresses. And so on this side, we'll have the verses in the 9th stage, and this side will have the verses in 14 stages. And so, and we're mostly familiar with the 9 stages, but then it's further divided into even 14 stages. Okay, so Shusho Shadadhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Śrīmad Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevana. So really, bhakti all starts by some compassion of great souls. We see that we open temples, and we go out and we try to create Shraddha. Like there's a song, Shraddhavan Jan He, Shraddhavan Jan He. So what does this word Shraddha mean? Does that, sometimes you hear the word faith. What other ways it's been translated? Does anybody know some other ways it's been used? Srila Prabhupada has said eagerness, his interest. The word Shraddha also, it's like a willingness to participate. It's not what we are going to find later on as we go to down here. Down here is called Nishta. That is a type of firm faith that is developed through experience. That is called Nishta. That's different from what is called Shraddha. Shraddha means just some little interest, some appreciation. Also, Prabhupada translates this in when he's lecturing on this verse. He mentions Shraddha as just appreciation. Like you see a kirtan and you say, oh, that sounded nice. Or those people look like sincere people. Any type of appreciation, Krishna is he's looking for tiny little excuses to bring us back to the spiritual world. So if we do anything slightly connected to his service of his devotees, or the mission of devotional service or bhakti, he very quickly and easily helps that person. So if you show a little appreciation, shraddha, then things start to happen. So this is Śrīmad Seva. So this is the first part, is it made possible by the great service of the great devotees. So we may find ourselves that in this life, we have a certain level of attraction, and that attraction might have been developed by previous appreciation. Maybe in this life, or maybe in our past life, we've done something that captured Krishna's attention. And then when we have some appreciation, here we have a Brooke. Brooke. Oh, yes. Oh, welcome, Brooke. Hare Krishna. Welcome. So we start off with a little bit of shraddha, a little bit of appreciation. And then we spend time with those who are practicing. Maybe that means we put on a podcast in our ear called Wisdom of the Sages. Or we go to a temple, we go to a kirtan. And then when we happen to spend time with the devotees, then by seeing their nature, by seeing their qualities, that shraddha becomes developed. It starts to grow. And eventually we find ourselves connecting into the activities itself. Automatically, we're starting the activity just by lending our ear. That is itself service. But we also begin to develop this heart of wanting to actively, offer something. Any questions or reflections so far? Let's check in with everybody. Brooke, where are you calling in from? I don't know if you're free to talk. Just like to welcome you. Vishwatomukha Prabhu, you're in Florida. That's correct. Florida?
Yes, Kissimmee, Florida.
Nice. And it looks like you have a sunny day today.
Yes.
Today it's rainy here. It's cold and rainy. Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to rain tonight, but we're starting to get, real Florida weather, hot and humid.
Hot and humid, yes. At least you have glasses to protect you from the suicide gnats. I remember that's what happened to me when I first got off the bus in Florida. I was there and wow, God.
Yeah. You got bugs and critters.
Yeah. So any reflections on this, what we've covered so far? Prabhu, anything you want to share?
Not yet. I'm just starting to get into it here. I joined late. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I'll pull up the verse and we can just look straight at the verse.
I have the book here.
Okay, let me see. Okay, so here we are. Su shu sho. So this is one, which means one who is engaged in hearing. Shraddhanasya. So you see this word shraddha is saying here, with care and attention. So if you put your attention with affection, with some care, that is called shraddha. It's not necessarily just something like how we use the word faith, meaning, oh, I believe something. It means just an initial kind of willingness to connect, a willingness to participate. It's not so developed. Just like if you come to New York City, you try to get around. Most likely, you're going to have to use the Metropolitan Transit Authority, the MTA, and you will see maps that will describe. Okay, you get off on the F train You get off at 2nd Avenue, and you can go visit Prabhupada's first temple, and you can visit Bhakti Center on that same stop. And then if you want to go to the Brooklyn Temple, you can catch the A train or the C train, or you can catch the 2, the 5, and I think also the 3. Now, your willingness to get on the train, that is called Shraddha. You've developed a little bit of trust to participate in the system. It seems reasonable, so you participate. And when you begin to participate, and as you go through the various steps, if the map says get off at F and you'll be at get off at 2nd Avenue and you'll be near right next to Prabhupada's first temple, and you do those steps and it works, then you're actually developing a type of realization. It's not something that you just believe in, it's something you're practically experiencing. But it starts off with a willingness to participate, a willingness to get on the train itself. And so usually people use that word faith in relation to some kind of religious thing, but they don't understand that everything they're doing is requiring some acceptance, some belief that of trust, that there's some safety in this endeavor to get on to get on a bus, get on a train, to go anywhere, to trust Google Maps. There's Shraddha there.
Prabhu?
Yes.
Along those lines, sometimes if I'm encouraging someone to read Bhagavad Gita as it is for the first time, I'll tell them, to make any sense of the book, you should at least understand theoretically that Krishna, who's speaking the Bhagavad Gita, is the supreme God. I mean, you may not believe that, but in order to make sense of the book, these two guys talking and one, at least theoretically understand that Krishna is God.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's like if you want to do an experiment, you have the hypothesis. You have to theoretically expect the experiment, the hypothesis to be true. In order to, you can't say, well, I don't really know this hypothesis to be true, so I will, manufacture my own steps of the experiment. So you got the hypothesis is there, and then, with the hypothesis or with the what we call in Sanskrit the sambandha, follows the abhideya, the practice, the experiment. And so unless we actually even theoretically accept the theory, then we won't practically apply the experiment. We won't be reading it with the right mindset. Srila Prabhupada describes in chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita that this is absurd inquiries and blind faith are condemned. So absurd inquiries I like to call blind doubt. That means when you have many questions but you really don't want an answer. That's called blind doubt or absurd inquiries. And blind faith means when you have an answer, you don't want any questions. One is you have many questions, you really don't want there to be an answer. And one of them you have an answer, but you really don't want any questions. So those are both kind of sentimental and kind of fanatical stances. We're operating with this understanding that we're developing faith not blindly. We look at the hypothesis theoretically, we apply it, and then it's just like we get on the train and we see it works. It actually gets you off at the right stop. It actually says what it proposes to say. And it's even something that we can, in the beginning, like it says, Śrīmad Sevaya, even if we're not yet experiencing it, we can see that those who are practicing, they seem to have a different quality than the general mass of people. They seem to be quite unaffected by the ups and downs of this world, and they seem to be very peaceful. So there's some qualities that we may be attracted to. So, okay, we're reading. Brooke says she's on her way to Oberlin College in Cleveland, Ohio for Rath Yatra. Oh, that sounds fun. Fantastic. So Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan. Okay, so Vasudeva means Krishna, Kata, the message of Krishna, and Ruchi, of traction. This word comes up a lot in this chapter. That's made possible, Syan Mat Sevaya, by Madhat Sevaya, service to the Mahats. O Vipra, he's saying to, he's speaking to the audience. Vipraha. Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. They are pious, they're pure, and this is by their service. So translation: oh, twice born sages, by serving those who are completely free from all vice, great service is done. And by such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. And so we will read the purport. The conditioned life of a living being is caused by his revolting against the Lord. There are men called devas, or godly living beings, and there are men called asuras, or demons, who are against the authority of the Supreme Lord. So this is not like a being with horns. This is just identifying different states of consciousness. And the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16 chapter, a vivid description of the asuras is given. Now, if you read that chapter, you're like, oh my God, when they talk about the asuras, it really feels like, why are they talking about me so much? They talk about, if you have pride and arrogance and anger and all these different things, like, oh yeah, yep, I got all those things. Got me pen. So the vivid description of asuras is given, in which it said the asuras are put into lower states of ignorance, life after life, and so sink to lower forms of animal life and have no information of the absolute truth. So those who are antagonistic towards God, they're not forced towards God. They want to enjoy the temporary. They want it if you want to enjoy all different material things, there are various species of life to experience all kinds of enjoyments. If you want to have no discrimination of what you eat, you just kind of eat garbage. You want to not follow the kind of puritanical rules of cleanliness. You can have a life of a pig. Forget all this puritanical rules. Just roll in the muck, roll in the sewer. And in America, we don't really know what pigs are, but if you go to India, you'll see how does a pig live. They're very happy when they hear the toilet flush and something's coming down the stream. So there's all these different species of life are actually reflecting different desires of the living entities. And if one is very pious, does a lot of good karma, then they can get a very sophisticated body, a demigod body, or there's even called subterranean heavenly planets, where it's like, even if they're atheistic but pious, they get the karmic results where they can enjoy various facilities of material enjoyment. But it is like considered to sink further and further in a dark well, andakupam, where you actually have no information of what is your real self-interest. These asuras are gradually rectified to God consciousness by the mercy of the Lord's liberated servitors in different countries according to the supreme will. So that's that agyata sukriti, that they're getting benefited by this compassionate mercy of saintly persons. Such devotees of God are very confidential associates of the Lord. And when they come to save human society from the danger of godlessness, they are known as powerful incarnations of the Lord, as sons of the Lord. Who's that referring to? Anybody know? That's obviously a bid to Jesus Christ. They're known as incarnations and as sons and as servants or as associates of the Lord. So these are there's a Krishna Vinaya. There's a verse that says if you can actually influence the world in a very powerful way to devotion, then you're obviously a person that has been empowered by the Lord. Krishna Shakti Vinaya. That means, so a person like Jesus Christ, he was, we don't remember who was the president 50 years ago, or who was Miss America 10 years ago, or who won the Grammys 4 years ago. But somehow we remember this personality, Jesus Christ, and it's 2,000 years going on. Because such a person is carrying this eternal fame of being a great Vaishnava. But none of them falsely claim themselves to be God. This is blasphemy declared by the Asuras. This is a blasphemy declared by the Asuras. The demonic followers of such Asuras also accept pretenders as God or as incarnation. So we have a lot of people that like to advertise themselves as being God, and this is considered it's a great blasphemy, aparadha. In the revealed scripture, there's definitive information of the incarnation of God. No one should be accepted as God or incarnation God unless he is confirmed by the revealed scriptures. So I'll give you a little acronym. How do you know somebody is God? What are some of the things you should seek? There's an acronym. It's SAFE. Prabhupada said he is scripturally predicted. He has, so there's one of the F is for features. There's certain features that are called Mahapurusha. That, like for example, when Krishna stands, his hands extend to his knees. You stand straight, you find that your hands don't extend to his knees. He has eyes that are shaped like lotus petals. He has his particular bodily features. But then his activities, so S-A, A is for activities. If during Srila Prabhupada's time, there was some personality who was advertising himself as God. And so the devotees wrote him and say, okay, we can accept you as God, but can you just show us like your universal form? Krishna lifted a mountain with his pinky, just like a small building. If you could lift that with we'll let you use your whole hand, just like a small building. And so usually you'll have sometimes some yogis who may actually possess some mystic abilities, and they'll do like these tiny magic tricks, and foolish people will begin to worship these people as God. But activities of the Lord are extraordinary. So it should be scripturally predicted. Like Lord Chaitanya, his hundreds of descriptions of Lord Chaitanya prior to his appearance. The activities should be extraordinary. The features, and then there's something. There's also, I think the extraordinary activities is the E, and A is also for astrology. There's certain astrological markers that are there. If someone is an expert in astrology, so scripturally predicted. A, I believe, is for the astrological markers, physical features, the features, and in extraordinary activities. So that's how you know. SAFE. So if anybody, advertises themselves as God to you, you can just like take a little checklist and see if they can fulfill this checklist. All right. Continuing on. The servants of God are to be respected as God by the devotees. So, like for example, the great Vaishnavas, like Jesus is called the Shakti Avatar. This is a great Vaishnava to be empowered to to even be recognized over thousands of years. He is to be respected, not to be ontologically seen as God, but he is the representative. So there's a respect that is given there. If you want to actually go back to Godhead, such servants are called Mahatmas or Tirthas, and they preach according to particular time and place. So not all these teachers are going to be teaching the same thing. It's according to the time and place. The servants of God urge people to become devotees of the Lord, and they never tolerate being called God. People said to Jesus, "Oh, Jesus, you're so great." And then what is his response? Does anybody know what he said? No, only thy Father in heaven is great. So he clearly presented this dvaita, this duality between him and the Father. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was God himself, according to the indication of the revealed scriptures, but he played the part of a devotee. People who know him to be God addressed him as God, but he used to block his ears with his hands and chant the name of Lord Vishnu. So this is Krishna. Lord Chaitanya is called Chana Avatar, hidden avatar. He wants to enjoy being the position, experience the position of being a devotee. So the devotees should not interfere with Lord Chaitanya's Leela. He wants to actually experience what is it. So how is it that the devotees are actually experiencing more bliss than God himself in his service? He strongly protested against being called God, although undoubtedly he was God himself. Actually, the reason that he was also called Chana, because although there are hundreds of descriptions, you can find them in various Upanishads, Mahabharata, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So many literature describe like Lord Chaitanya's appearance, his mother's name, his father's name, his birthplace, his activities. But it's written in such a way that it only became clear after the fact. It wasn't written in such a way where a person could just take that information and say, "Hey, I'm Lord Chaitanya," because he didn't want that to happen. So it's kind of like it didn't become clear until after the pastime took place or during the pastime. The Lord behaves so to warn us against unscrupulous men who take pleasure in being addressed as God. The servants of the Lord come to propagate God consciousness, and intelligent people should cooperate with them in every respect. By serving the servant of God, one can please God more than directly by serving the Lord. The Lord is more pleased when he sees that his servants are properly respected, because such servants risk everything for the service of the Lord and are so very dear to the Lord. The Lord declares in the Bhagavad Gita, this great one who shares this great secret is most dear to me. So we want anyone who helps people reconnect to the supreme lovable being is considered by that lovable being the most dear. Is more dear. There's no one is more dear to one who risks everything to preach his glory. By serving the servants of the Lord, one gradually gets the quality of such servants, and thus one becomes qualified to hear the glories of the Lord. The eagerness, Shraddha, to hear about God is first qualification of a devotee eligible for entering the kingdom of God. Shrushosha Vasudeva Katharuchi Syatmat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevara. And so as we go forth, we're going to dive deeper into all these different qualities here. But we can see this the 9 famous ones are Shraddha, then comes Sadhu Sangha, association, Sangha with the sadhus. Then we start to, Kriya means action. We start to engage in the activities of devotional worship. Then comes Anartani Vritti, when we engage in the activities of devotional worship, we start to actually clean our heart actively and unconsciously, consciously and proactively. We start to address the issues that are material desires that are within the heart. Then comes, as our heart becomes very clean, then we come to the platform of this great deep steadiness. Then ruchi. Ruchi means that we are that person at that level. They're engaging in the activities because they have a great taste for it. Like forget 16 rounds. They just want to always have Krishna on their tongue. They have this asakti, this great attachment. Ruchi means, if I remember, it's a state where there's taste, but there's also, still sometimes the material mentality may appear in the mind. Asakti is a state where it's like practically, 24/7, just like a little flickering, the mind may go away. It's a deep attraction. Then comes, you see, bhava or rati, and then prema. These are the various stages. And here you see it starts off with satam, kripa, mercy, then service, then shraddha, then guru padashraya. This is also like we take it. This is when we're actually having service to great sadhus, and we engage in their. We take like maybe initiation. We take a vow, then we engage in worship, bhakti, anartha, bhagamam, disappearance of obstacles, again, nishta, ruchi, asakti, rati, prema, and then darshanam, vision, and then harer, madhurya, anubhava, direct experience of Lord Hari's sweetness. Any questions so far? So we can go and practice the verse. There was something else I wanted to show, but I forgot what it was.
I actually got a question.
Oh yes.
Because all the time, or every time I hear Shraddha, I always think of Radha. Does it have anything to do with it?
I don't think so. Actually, the word Shraddha is a little bit different.
The name.
The difference. The D is a different D.
Okay.
Like you see, this is ta. This is the aspirated H. Ta.
Oh, I see.
And this is da. These are two das. It's a different type of D. Shraddha. Ta. If you,
Yeah, I'm seeing.
So,
It's beautiful because when it's like you bring just one shloka from the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and it just portrays, like the steps towards what we want to achieve, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
I mean, definitely might be a lot more of them, but this one is wow. I've been like, and probably I even hear it in my class or something. Never got this attention to it, and I'm like, wow.
So how about Vishwatoma Prabhu?
Yes, sir.
Can you recite this a few times, one line at a time? Everyone repeat. I'll be right back.
Okay. Shushu shro shadadanasya. I'm going to assume everyone's on mute, so that's why I'm not hearing you. Shushrusho Shradhadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat Punyatirtha Nishevanat Shushrusho Shradhadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat Shushrusho Shradhadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat Shushrusho Shradhadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat Shushrusho Shradhadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. Is anyone there, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
I'm glad I wasn't chanting to myself. I guess everyone was on mute. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's a little easier on mute because then the timing gets
Yeah, that's true. You got the
yeah.
lag.
Okay. Shusho Shradhadanasya Vasudeva Kata Ruchihi Syan Matsevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. Havaguranga, you want to give it a try?
Who?
Guranga Nishta.
Oh yeah, I can. Sususho Sradadanyasya Vasudeva
Shradhadanasya
Vasudeva Kataruchi
Vasudeva Kataruchihi
Syan Mahat Sevaya Pripra
Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra
Punyatirtha Nishevanat.
Punyatirtha Nishevanat. How about Carmenji?
Shusho Shradhadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Sayan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat.
Nice. Again, one more time.
Shusho Shradhadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Sayan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat.
Okay. And one more time.
Shusha Shadadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Sayan Mahatsevai.
You gotta say Syan, 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 Syan
Yeah.
Matseva.
Uh,
Syan Matseva.
Syan Mahatsevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat.
Okay, and one more time.
Shusha Shadadanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahatsevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat.
Nice, nice. And oh, Dana K disappeared. Who's just about to ask her? I think she got kicked off of there. Now she's back. She's back. Dana K, are you up for it?
Okay, my connection's a little weak. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no, but
So Shada Dahasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Sayan Mahat
Syan, Syan,
Syan
Syan, yeah.
Syan Mahat Savya Vipraha Punya Tita Nasivanat.
Yeah, sounds like the connection's a little weak, little.
Trying.
Yeah, so Syan Matsevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. So let's just look at overview of what we've what was leading up to here. Oh, let me show you. Let me see. Where is that? I have it written down. Maybe I'll. Where is that? Divine. Where is that? D-I. Okay, maybe I can put it on. I can. Where can I share this? It's on my iPad. I wanna copy there. Maybe I put it on Google Docs. I can pull it up there. Come on. Yeah. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Docs, Google. It should be coming up. One second. So this is the acronym I've been working on. And that's probably too small, isn't it? Vishuto, I think, is it too small? It's probably really small. Let's see, how can I? It's not letting me access the buttons. There we go. It's everything's moving. I got too many things running. Oh, view, full screen. Still, I don't think full screen will do the job. How do I? Okay, it's getting a little bigger. It's getting bigger. There you go. There we go. Oh, now it's getting too big. Slow to react. All right, so this is the acronym put together. Chapter 2, Divine. What's the chapter's name?
Divine.
The chapter's name is Divinity and Divine Service.
Yeah, that's what I
The
figured.
acronym is So the whole world is vibrating with sounds of question answers. The birds are chirping. Where's the worm? The child is asking. Where do babies come from? The commercials are answering. This product and service will fulfill you. And everyone's asking, what's the weather today? However, thousands of years ago, great sages asked the most fundamental questions, knowing thus a person can be fully satisfied. And those great inquiries were given fruition in the wonderful discourse known as the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, beginning with chapter 2 of the first canto. So as we recited those verses, the first 5 verses are dignifying, they're glorifying the sages, the questions, the whole inquiry. In order to get answers, we must always examine the efficacy of the source. Throughout the time, various methods of epistemology have been employed, and one of many methods is shabda, can keep it on, or testimony. If I want to learn about Japan from New York City, it cannot be done by extending my senses through a telescope. Rather, I must rely on a source, a testimony, which I can respectfully test, and then taste. In the Vedic system, both blind faith and blind doubt are to be rejected. To have an answer, but to avoid questions in blind faith, and to have questions but avoid answers is blind doubt. Thus, both honor and respect are important elements in expressing doubts to one's teacher. Therefore, these first five verses, both the speaker and the questioners are honored for their dignified qualities and questions. And so then the question that was asked in the first chapter. In the first chapter, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, the great sages inquired from a great sage, Sutta Goswami, 6 questions. The first 2 questions were about, let me do it. Well, let me do it. Okay, let me make this. About knowing what was the highest and most progressive goal of life. And they also asked him to present the essence, the creme de la creme of spiritual wisdom. Sutta, being an emissary of the ancient Vedic wisdom, responded that pure, loving, devotional service to God is the highest, and that this service to God, aka Krishna, carries with it the fruits of all other spiritual paths, namely spiritual knowledge, jnana, and detachment from the worldly, vairagya. So that is what led. So we have these 5 verses here about they're kind of dignifying. Then you got the inquiries answered, or these two verses, 2 very famous verses. And then we see what was the V? Value. Now he's speaking about this very valuable thing, bhakti, and he's contrasting it. Dharma that doesn't have devotion, it's just wasted. It's just hard work. Dharma is for ultimate liberation, not for artha and kama, for material gain, financial gain. Even desires, it should just be for a healthy life. And then, because life is meant for understanding the absolute truth, then the verse 11 was, what is that absolute truth? And then how understanding that absolute truth is done through bhakti. Even if you're practicing the other paths of jnana and yoga, this element of bhakti is a necessary ingredient. Then even the whole social order, the Vedic culture, the whole point is bhakti. And therefore, one should just constantly hear, meditate, remember, and worship the Lord within bhakti. And this activity, it cuts away karmic bondage. And that brings us to this verse. Let's continue on. So this verse is saying you get this interest to hear and glorify. It comes from service of the devotees. And what does it do? It changes the heart. It changes the consciousness. by regular attendance on the Bhagavatam, all that is troublesome in the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving devotional service is established. And then one becomes even further purified. As soon as the bhakti becomes established in the heart, then even the modes of nature disappear. This is even a further step. And then you become happy. And then you're totally in mode of goodness. Then you get enlivened by devotional service, and you gain scientific knowledge of the personality of God in the stage of liberation. So this is more, you're actually very experiencing at a high level. And all those things, all those anarthas are completely cut away. You know, now that you see the self as a master, you're not being a slave of your mind and senses. And so it's continuing on like this. Glorification of bhakti. Then there's divine, we say the value. Then the I here is for increments, which we're starting right now. That's for increments. You know, the 9 stages, the 14 stages. And then what was the N? Let me just find that 1 second. I wrote that down somewhere. Fill this whole thing out. And where is that? Hare Krishna, Hare. Okay. Bhakti stages, conclusion. What was the end? Okay. Navigate. So then navigate is for verses 23 to 29, because it talks about all these other divine figures. So you have the Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, demigods. And so understanding that whole scenario, that's navigate. And the last E is the last 5 verses are about the four or five verses are about the Purushas, the Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. E is for expansions, various expansions of Krishna. And so that's a kind of summary of this chapter. So I think we are done here. Any last questions or reflections before we head out?
Prabhu, this is such an important chapter. There was a devotee, I wish I knew who it was, could give him credit, but he compiled all the most common verses quoted by Prabhupada. I have that in a PDF I can send to you if you like. But all the verses that Prabhupada quoted 100 or more times, and there are several in this chapter that are on that verse, in this chapter that are on that list.
Absolutely, yes.
Let me do something here. I'm just going to count down the top 10. You probably know, most of them are from Bhagavad Gita, but you probably know these. Starting with number 10, Prakrite Kriyamanani, Manmanava Bhakto, Daivihi Shagunamai, Dehino Sminyata Dehe, Brahmabhuta Prasanatma, Bahunam Janmanamante, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Janmakarma Chame Divyam, Sarvadharman Prityaja. And one more. Who can guess what is the number 1 most commonly quoted verse by Srila Prabhupada?
Oh, the number 1.
Yeah, I counted down from 10 to 2.
Oh, okay. What's the number 1?
It's a trick question.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Nice.
I'll send this. I could post it on the chat board if anybody wants to download it or print it out.
Oh, nice. Yes, please. And in relation to the purport that we read, Prabhupada was in Vrindavan. He asked the devotees that had visited, these Sankirtan devotees from Germany. One of my teachers was there. And he asked them, what's the most important verse? And one of the devotees, because you see Prabhupada in this purport, if you notice in the purport, it's related to that. So he asked him, what's the most important verse? And the response was, Yara Deka Tarakaha Krishna Upadesh. Wherever you go, share Krishna's instruction. Amara Gyana Guru Hara Tara Edesh. Become a teacher of this message in all places. And Prabhupada said, yes, that is correct. That is the most important verse. And so here we hear that this is not only is a devotee compassionate, but Krishna becomes very compassionate, very soft-hearted towards those who share the spiritual message. As Prabhupada quotes, I think 1869, he says, the most dear to me. It's like Dana Kate likes cupcakes, and if you give her cupcakes, she just loves it. So similarly, I don't know if she likes cupcakes. So similarly, if you give this is like Krishna's soft spot, you know. If you share, if you help people along in their spiritual lives, he is very kindly disposed towards you and will help you. Even if you feel like, well, who am I? I don't know anything. I'm not very spiritually advanced. I have so many problems and anarthas. So besides that, if you just try to help people take their next step, try to encourage some shraddha, some interest, some attraction, then Krishna becomes attracted to you more and more and more. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, Vishwato Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So Om Tat Sat, thanks a lot. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna.